If you just got fired and you're not sure what to do, this video is for you. I'm going to tell you what you should do to make the most of the situation, land on your feet, and minimize the amount of damage on your life. I've been adulting for over 3 decades now, so I've been through this a few times. The biggest key is to keep a positive focus on your future, and everything will be fine. So my most recent story starts yesterday. I'm in IT, so I work from home sometimes. Yesterday was a day I was going to work from home. Get on my computer in the morning. First thing I do is check my email, see what's going on, look at my calendar. I noticed right away that my boss's boss had sent an invite to a meeting with me, but it's not in his office. It's in the front office, kind of by the front door, kind of by HR. I've been here before. The first time I got fired from an IT job, it was a similar situation. If you get an employee discussion meeting in a office, in a meeting room you don't normally go in, that's not always good. So knowing what this was all about, I decided to take it like a man. I finished getting dressed. I got my laptop. I hurried into my car, drove into work, took a meeting on the way into the work, prepared for the worst. I get there, and sure enough, the worst is what's going to happen. He walks in with a couple of HR people, sits down looking kind of somber across from me. It's not a fun thing for him to have to do. I sympathize with him for that. And gets through his piece, gets up, shakes my hand, leaves the room. I'm left with 2 HR people there. They're going through the paperwork for the termination of employment. So knowing it was coming, and also personally, I was kind of prepared financially. I've got a few months, probably not as much as I should have, but a few months that I could go without making any income and still pay all my bills. I've been through this situation before. I've got a lot of skills. I was in a pretty good spot. But the first thing you want to do is assess your situation. You may not be in a good spot when this happens. The first time I got fired, I had a daughter that was 6 months old. I had a house payment. My wife had just stopped working so she could stay home with the kids. I had no idea what was going on, right? I'm driving home just absolutely freaking out, not in a good spot at all. It took me a little while to come to terms with what was going on and figure out what to do. Now, 25 years later, I've been through it before in a decent spot. I'm doing okay, but assess your situation. From my personal experience, I can tell you your mileage may vary emotionally. So the first thing you want to do is take care of whatever you need to process in the moment. You may not be ready to go home and start applying for jobs that instant. You may need to talk to someone. You may need to assess where you're at. Maybe like me, you didn't see it coming. It's kind of a shock. Take some time to sit with that and accept it as it is so you can move forward without struggling, without processing that while you're trying to move forward. It's okay if you need a little time. Because the first thing you need to do is take care of yourself. Being unemployed can be emotionally and mentally taxing. People think it's an easy thing. It could be fun even. And if you're doing it right, it doesn't have to be awful. But the longer you're unemployed, the more strain it's going to have on you financially, emotionally, and mentally. So in this time, you really need to take care of yourself. One of the first things I did after coming home was go for a run, right? So when I take care of yourself, that doesn't mean going to the bar and getting blitzed and forgetting the fact that you're unemployed and trying to deal with it that way. It means make sure you're eating right. Make sure you're sleeping well, and make sure you're getting exercise. Physical fitness is the first mountain of self-development. You need your physical fitness to have emotional fitness and mental fitness after that. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you've got a good routine, stick to it. If you don't have a good routine, use some of your newfound time to start developing something that's going to give you good vibes, good feeling to help you get through this. The next step is going to be cleaning up your finances. After I got home from the run, I went through Simplify and I looked at all of my recurring bills, and I found a few things I could cancel. A supplement here, a subscription to a product there. There were things I did that cleared up a couple of $100 a month of bills that I liked having those things when I was employed. I don't need those things now that I am unemployed. I also took a look at what are the second tier things I'm willing to cancel. If I get to a certain point, I still don't have a job, my money is starting to dwindle. I know what financial moves I can take next to stop spending money. You're also going to want to call in any debts. If you've got an ex, if you've got a friend, anyone that owes you money, fair game to call them and remind them, hey, I just got laid off. I just got fired. I'm going to need that money sooner rather than later. Can you please pay up? You're going to also want to notify people that are dependent on you. If you have a child that you're helping with their cell phone bill or their insurance, if you have an ex-wife that gets child support from you and her child support may be impacted, do the right thing and let them know. Because you already have some drama here from being unemployed. You don't need to deal with extra interpersonal drama because you didn't notify people that may be impacted by your financial situation. Also, I would look to moving to minimum payments on credit card debt. I've got some, shame on me for having any, but I've got some credit card debt. I was making more than minimum payments. I moved them all to minimum right away. I'm going to need to make my money last as long as possible. I can get back to that once I've got a job again. The next thing I did was brush up my resume. Again, with a 25-year career in IT, I've got a long and lengthy resume. I just had to add my most recent job to that. And then I looked at my most recent skills and experience in conjunction with the old stuff to kind of give myself an idea of how broad of a base of skill set I have to help inform what I may want to do when I'm looking for another job. I may also want to change the descriptions of what happened at certain jobs to line up with what I'm looking for. So it was kind of a general review of my resume. In a position like mine, if you do have a lengthy resume, you typically don't want to include the entire thing for every job you apply. You maybe even tailor it to different jobs you apply. So if you're in that situation, it's a matter of getting ready to adjust it on the fly as you go for different jobs you may apply to. And now that you've got your resume brushed up, it's time to start applying for jobs. Go ahead and do a flurry of them right away as soon as you are able. I like to make sure I'm checking multiple places. My three main sources that I'm using for looking for jobs is number one, LinkedIn. It's a great source for jobs, especially in my field. Also, Indeed. Indeed has a ton of jobs, probably a broader variety of jobs, depending on what type of job you're looking for. Another good place, and I'd say my third place, is word of mouth. I'm going to let people know that I'm unemployed. And if they know my skill set and they know of any jobs I might be interested in, word of mouth is also a good place to find jobs. It may be from a relative. It may be from a coworker from a previous job that you're still friends with on LinkedIn. So that's one reason it's good to share this information on social media. You don't have to explain why you got fired. In my case, it was because of the tariffs, business uncertainty. They decided to restructure a little bit, and I had a relatively high-paying job, so I was easy to let go of. You don't have to get into any of that on social media. You can just say, I am now looking for a job. If you know of anything, let me know. Don't worry about the stigma of being unemployed. So now you've applied for jobs, it's also a good time to look to applying for benefits. I don't know anybody that likes applying for benefits. I have done it every single time I've been unemployed. Unemployment, food share benefits, Medicaid, SNAP, all of that is there to help you in this situation. It's going to be good for you to be able to get through this as good as possible. That's a lot of goods. I guess it comes down to don't worry about the stigma of applying for benefits. You pay into the system. That's what it's there for. It's good for you and it's good for society, for everyone to get through life in a positive way. So don't be afraid to apply for benefits. So you're applying for jobs. You're taking care of yourself. Maybe you're doing a little bit of fun stuff on the side, but you don't want to waste this free time that you have. You may be interested in investing in a side hustle. There may be a skill that you need to develop to do that so it could turn into a career. You may be looking to up your game in your career and make it to the next level. Most of the time, that requires learning new skills. When you're unemployed, you have larger blocks of time than you typically do when you have a job. That is the perfect time to double down on investing in yourself and your skill set for your future employment. I don't know what it is for you. For me right now, it's content creation. I've been sharing stuff on social media for a long time. I'm starting to do a lot more video. I'm going to be working on more long form content. I'm going to be working on extra skills like After Effects in Adobe Creative Cloud. So that is one area where I am going to be investing in a skill set that may be a career path move for me instead of upping my game in my current career path. So make the most of your time in a positive way that's going to benefit your future, not just feel good in the moment. And finally, I just want to remind you to maintain perspective. Life is incredibly long. The first time I was fired and I had all these responsibilities, I had no idea how I was going to be able to take care of them. Everything worked out in the end. And I didn't even play it by the book. I ended up getting a job offer that was 2 months down the road, and I trusted it. And I went with my gut. It was a step in a positive direction. I could afford to wait that long. So I had some fun. I invested more in my skills. Everything worked out. Every time I've been fired, everything worked out. Just remember, life is incredibly long. The most important thing you can do is keep a positive attitude. Keep thinking about the future and the good things that are going to happen if you're doing the right things. That's going to fuel you to do what you need to do to make good things happen. Right now, if you just got fired, if you're recently unemployed, or if you've been unemployed for a little while, keep the faith, keep working. The world is looking for people to get things done. That is not going to change anytime soon. If you do the right things, you'll end up all right. Thanks for listening and best of luck.